anything to do with Western big game.
Welcome to the Epic Outdoors podcast, powered by Under Armour.
All right, before we get this podcast started, Logan and I have a special announcement for the giveaway that we're going to be doing here. This will be a little bit of a different giveaway we just barely came up with the other day, and it's actually going to be about a month long. Not quite a month, I guess. A few weeks long, but it'll be kind of a different one, kind of a fun one. I don't know whether you guys out there are basketball fans. I try and watch stuff, occasionally basketball, sports and things, but don't really have enough time. But usually March Madness, Super Bowl, things like that, I at least try and watch those. Kind of fun. But one of the things we've decided to do with March Madness beginning, and since how we can't go shed hunting or anything else fun like that, I guess we'll just have to watch a bunch of basketball games. But we're actually going to do a giveaway, a optics giveaway with an NCAA men's tournament bracket challenge. So here's the thing. What we're going to do is we're going to run this on the ESPN Tournament Challenge app. So what you're going to want to do is go to download the ESPN Tournament Challenge app and get that on your phone. Go on and create a username and all that. And then go in there and we're going to have a bracket called the Epic Outdoors Giveaway. Find that there. We're also going to have a link on our social media stuff. We're going to have a link in our bios to that if you want to go directly to it. But it'll be easy to find. Once you get your username built, you just go in there and you can search a bracket name, start typing it in, and it'll come up. But it'll be the Epic Outdoors Giveaway. It's going to require a password to get in there. We're not just going to allow anybody in there. It's only going to be people who either listen to this podcast or guys that follow us on social media. We're going to do a couple social media announcements. So it's not going to go out to the entire world, just the guys that are following us. So anyway, go in there, create a bracket. I guess first of all, it is going to be a private bracket. So the password to get in there is going to be Muley, all lowercase, MULEY. So that'll allow you'll have to type that in before you join the bracket. And when you do, make sure you edit the name of your bracket to have your first initial and last name, at least, to give us kind of an idea, and put that in there. The winner, we're going to be obviously the NCAA tournament. There's no winners, no participation points or trophies for second place.
Winner take all here.
Yep. So it's going to be the guy that wins it all we'll send him this Vortex Razor HD spotting scope. It's the 27 to 60 by 85. Pretty sweet spotting scope. It's going to be yours free and clear. All you have to do is make a bracket. Pretty easy. It's kind of fun. That bracket is going to lock Thursday by the time the first game starts. So you'll have today? Well, this probably come out like Friday. I guess you'll have, of course, over the weekend. Sunday is when they'll announce the brackets. So basically from Sunday through Thursday, early morning, you'll want to get a bracket in. That's when you'll have time to do it. So whatever sources you use, whether you have to chase, I don't know, some kind of an animal, have animal races, boil eggs in the microwave, whatever you need to do to figure out how you're going to run your bracket. Get that in there. Name your bracket, like I said, first initial, last name. And you are going to require, you're going to need to be following us on Instagram. That's where we're going to be doing any of our updates or any information on there, as well as the winner does have to be following us on Instagram. We're going to cross-reference that and make sure that they are there, but you're going to want to follow us there anyway. The last game, I believe, is April 3rd, which is Monday, April 3rd. So once that's over, the cool thing about it is if you haven't done this before, it just tracks itself. So you'll be able to, every game it updates with the points of who's winning, who's losing. We'll be able to see who's in the lead and who's last. Something to keep in mind is all of us here in the office, maybe not everybody, but we're going to try and get everybody. Jason says he doesn't watch basketball, but who knows? We're going to get him to join.
You make a bracket.
Yeah. So I guess if you can beat Adam and Devin or Wyatt, I mean, he's a pretty big sports fan. So don't get on there. Don't take his advice, but I would get on there, create a bracket. Obviously, see if you can beat us here in the office, and the winner gets to take home this spotting scope. But anyway, get those brackets in. it'd be a cool, just kind of a fun thing we're going to do. Never done it before, so we're going to try it out and see how it goes.
Yeah. If the technology side is sounding a little bit scary to you, we'll have a link in our Instagram bio, take you right to the bracket, and you'll just be able to, it'll kind of walk you through it from there. Make an account, create a bracket, pick your teams. And Josh joined just a minute ago. It didn't seem too difficult. So
we went ahead and Logan went and got it all set up. Like I said, the tournament bracket is called Epic Outdoors Giveaway. So go on there. And, yeah, let's get it on.
Yeah. We just wanted to make that little announcement before we start the podcast. So hope everybody enjoys the podcast.
Yep, enjoy it.
Hey, everybody. Jason Carter, Adam Bratson, John Peterson. How are you, John?
I'm good.
We got Wyatt, too. Wyatt.
I'm here.
Not the big grand entrance because I don't want you to walk out of here and get mad at me. Wyatt's here. Devin's here. Josh is here. It's on a Friday. Everybody's ready to go shed hunting, right? Oh, wait.
Yeah, shut down.
Head to Arizona this weekend.
All Utah guys, head to Arizona, May 1st to the 7th, whatever. Don't we have a 7-day window?
What do you mean?
We can't do anything in Wyoming?
March 3rd in Arizona.
March 3rd.
That's today.
Oh, yeah. Well, I'm just getting excited about what are we going to do in that 7-day window where everybody else is out frolicking?
Well,
Anyway.
we're going to pass some reciprocity laws for Wyomingites. That might be a whole new podcast.
I think we should. I think actually if you're resident in your state, whatever non-resident limitations you have to abide by those same limitations when you leave your state. So, for example, Wyoming residents can't hunt wilderness areas in any other state.
Yeah, and there's a lot of them in Utah, Nevada. There's a lot in BLM.
Yeah. How
We're
about
not talking backcountry.
New Mexico 16B?
Oh, yeah.
Or sheep hunts.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
that's right.
Without a guide.
Hire
Without
somebody.
a guide.
Let's do it.
Maybe we give some of our non-resident permits to our outfitters to sell. I don't know. There's some things to think about.
That would be an interesting podcast. Let's tee that up for a week or two from now.
You don't want to do it right now? Oh, well, I mean, that's as far as I need to go with it. I mean, we don't need a whole podcast on it.
Okay, maybe not.
We're just a little bit angry for a minute. Just I don't
Everybody
know.
has the right to make laws in their own state. Just, can't have your cake and eat it too sometimes, so maybe we'll put it right back at you.
It's kind of crazy times. We're dealing with a few things here in Utah, too. Just, things that are getting passed that were surprises that we didn't get to weigh in on. I mean, I don't know. Just a lot of crazy times, don't you think? Why?
Yeah, definitely. Been a wild
Does-
social media.
And it doesn't even bother to try to stay on top of it because stuff
you
metamorphosizes over a week or two or days, and so goes from one proposal gets shot down 4 times, goes through 6 iterations, and at the buzzer, it's kind of like stealing something on eBay at the buzzer. Well, with a bid, you get something added, 2 lines into something, adding a whole new something to a rider to a bill that didn't even have anything to do with something, whether it be
Some
trail
crazy
cameras or lions
there's
or
crazy
whatever.
politics, and I think part of it, I don't. Part of it, it kind of tells us that our original system is a little bit broke in the fact that it just feels like you can't get anything done. Like it takes 14 committees. 13 years later, you're still praying about stuff and can't really ever make a decision, And so then people are getting frustrated. They go around and take it to the legislature and sneaky snake takes it on through.
The pondering period's taking too long.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what it feels
You've
like.
mentioned prayer, but the pondering portion's taken way
That's
too
what
long.
I'm talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, for all intents and purposes.
All the discussions and meetings and
it just
vettings.
can't get anything done. You got racks, you got all these opinions.
Well, and
we know what
everybody wants everything their way, and if
Oh,
it's
yeah.
not their way, it's the wrong way, and then you get passionate about it,
And that's what makes it hard to
Yeah.
go through a committee and interact because it's about inclusion, right? It's
Yeah.
about voicing an opinion. It's about being heard. But then, man, there's too many opinions. I'm just saying that in a generic sense.
Yeah.
Everybody's got opinions on how they need to do it. It's very hard and frustrating to sit through and watch change happen. Unfortunately, certain legislators are, making that happen with a
and the
couple
boards
sentences and just
and the boards are
bypass it.
trying to please everybody. There's really nice, awesome people on our board. At the Wildlife Commission, and you're just, they want to please everybody, and they got all these opinions hitting them, and with the information age and being able to hit people in 3 seconds and texting and emails, and they're scared to make a decision that might make people mad, and every decision makes lots of people mad, and so then decisions don't get made in a timely fashion. We watch our deer plummet and 14 other issues that need to be addressed, and just like the technology stuff, Kent, that's in committee. Will be forever, it feels like. So anyway, I see why it happens, but then now you're watching it happen, and it bypasses everybody and everything, and you get one guy that's creative that gets it through.
Well, and I think in the last few years, probably since 2020, just mandates, and a lot of us feel like government overreach and all that kind of stuff. And so it's all fresh on people's mind. And so then when it comes something into a sport or something you do you love very much, it becomes really, really personal. And you go from 0 to 100 fast. I mean, it started with making you wear a mask or whatever, that people, I'm not going to do that. Government overreach, whatever. Now it's somebody potentially doing something, a livelihood that you love, or an industry that you're in, something, and it's people are passionate now and tired of things like the overreach potential.
And nobody likes the overreach, right? But then all of a sudden we have a 200-yard crossbow with a turret on it.
Yeah.
And Wyoming allows crossbows, and so then you say, well, there needs to be more regulation, right? Like if we're not going to govern ourselves and we're going to continue with these kinds of advances in technology. I'm the last guy that thinks we need more regulation, but do we really need 200-yard crossbows with turrets? Is that the idea of archery hunting, so we can get the old guys back in it because their shoulders are blown out? Or even the young guys that just want to be able to shoot 200, like me.
Yeah.
I want to shoot 200, but I don't know I don't believe it's right. It's not the spirit of archery hunting. And so, we're in these crazy times, don't you guys think?
Oh, yeah. In every state,
a lot of change.
We could spend 15 minutes on every state, but it doesn't do any good. Like I said, you can talk about a proposal. Just wait till what gets passed. I mean, if you're in that state, you're going to get involved. It's hard for us to get involved in every state issue and weigh in. We do occasionally on when they're asking about non-resident, issues in, Wyoming and maybe Colorado survey that have gone out. We do that. But I mean, the iterations from the first survey to what ended up getting changed, we could have had 5 podcasts that conflict each other about whatever's being bantered about back and forth. So,
I mean, we could break it up just for a minute and tell a couple hunting stories.
Well, or talk about the best thing I heard all week, the quotes from Jason.
There we go.
You want me to go grab your stickies, or do you remember?
I look at them every day. Okay. For all of you listening to this, at any day we're going to be able to post the. Hey, you can't make something up about me.
Sometimes I come up with ideas.
No. So, Jason was researching Colorado moose, and there's some giant. The biggest Shiras moose.
You do remember this? Wow.
The biggest Shiras moose anywhere in the West right now are coming from Colorado. Multiple giants, and that's not what he brought to our attention, was it? He was talking about the easiness of drawing
brown-eyed ones.
Yeah, the ease of drawing cow moose tags in Colorado.
I don't know why.
And he kind of said, "What? I kind of want one."
But Bronson, and I've never wanted to kill a female anything,
but
ever. Jana, have I ever killed a female anything? Unless it's a coyote, and I'll kill every one of them. But you get going, just like you and I get going about stuff that we don't even, we have no interest at all, but you get vested.
But then you see one that went to a guy that didn't even have his 3. Didn't you see one that didn't even have his 3 base points, and he got it with 2?
Right. So I started looking at drawing odds. I made Kurt add the cow moose drawing odds to our website. I made mention of it with a paragraph in our magazine.
He's gone through phases with antelope, and now the cow moose phase has just begun.
They say the older you get, you just cherish the hunt and not the trophy.
And the meat. In your defense, you were talking about 400 or 500 pounds of awesome meat. You were talking
That's the most crimson red, gorgeous meat.
Iron
rich.
rich.
You had a bull moose tag and did not.
What? Okay, what minute are we at?
It's the big long eyelashes of those cow moose that get it.
It's true. Jana doesn't even know probably, but I did have a moose tag.
Well, it was one of those times that you're like, I've been gone away from the family a lot. I better stay home this time.
That's exactly
you exercise self-restraint.
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
That's the other quote we come out of his office a lot. Family first.
I hope to salvage that one, boss. Let's move on.
It was so okay. So everybody listening to this podcast has regrets, right? In our hunting lives, we have regrets. My regrets are once in a while if you miss a coyote. Like, that's a huge regret, right? Or you don't go on a specific hunt, or maybe you chose the wrong hunts to go on. Like right now, we're really contemplating, like, do we go north or south? Like, you're going to go south, right? Because all this water down here. But anyway, ended up with a tag, and I didn't take advantage of it. Turned it back. But I've killed a moose, and I was like, I just can't make it happen.
At the time, it was also, you'd say an average. You kind of,
yeah.
You were in Jason Carter mode, meaning you were after a kill. The drawing the tag's the kill.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, like,
Jason Carter mode.
I went after odds. You went after drawing odds.
I did, but now it's like one of the best units in the state.
Well,
and
that
I'm
was
looking at all these
8
giants.
or 10 years ago, though, when you got this.
Yeah, and now I'm thinking I'm back in. I'm back in fully.
And you did select the refund box, right? And not the.
I'm not going to talk about that either.
Well, it was probably a time
not the
that
point.
I love this.
you might have had a bunch of kids and mouths to feed at home were more important than
so
than
interesting how
recreational
Wyatt doesn't say a word.
except for antagonistic poking.
Gotta love Wyatt. Thank you, Wyatt.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
So anyway, yeah, I have a couple regrets. Another one is not gaining sheep points in Wyoming years ago, Bronson.
Earlier.
Remember?
Yep, that's
And
right.
and we had them, but then we're like, they're going up and raising their fees, and we'll never draw anyway. And then now we're old dudes looking back on it, saying, well, that
Well,
would have been a sheep tag.
And if I'd have done it a couple years sooner, 2 or 3, it would have been monumentally different.
Yeah.
You know, the writing was on the wall, and that's even before the new 90-10 rule stuff. But yeah, if you had a crystal ball, I bet we probably wouldn't have drawn because everybody would have started back then if you knew what the crystal ball was. What do you got? What are you
I just
pointing
wonder what he's doing with these papers
Well,
here.
I was going to write some
Nervous.
notes, and now I'm just a mess.
He's nervous. Jana knows.
Lined out like
Something
5
new.
of them. He had a lot of notes.
Anyway.
Wyatt, talk about a regret of yours now.
My regrets?
Yes.
I don't regret anything.
Yes, you do. Wyatt, what do you regret?
Oh.
And we're not talking about
Hunt-
college
just hunting.
days. We're not talking about
Only hunting related.
hunting-related
LP.
regrets.
Probably spending
Tags.
the money on the Airbnb and fuel to go to 11-211 in Colorado.
Wyatt!
Whoa.
That has everything to do with me. Again.
Who talked you into that hunt? Remind me. I don't remember.
You put me on the spot. That's all that came to my head.
Which means it's at the top of his head.
Okay, so let me
How
explain
many
this
years
one.
ago was that? And it's still the first thing that comes to
Yeah.
his mind?
Yep,
Rolled
area-
off his
head.
Unit 15 4th doesn't come to his mind. How was that for you, Wyatt?
Yeah, it didn't work out very well either.
But no, we're going to talk about 11-211. Had 14 years ago. So why? And by the way, it was mine too. Like you and I
Yeah,
both ate it.
We were there.
Sucked. Hunt was terrible.
Yeah. So
But
you
it's
win
surrounded
some-
by amazing units, or
There was a
have
lot of
been.
deer, though. I mean, it was.
You-
we did see a lot of deer.
you win
Isn't there a
some-
Bitterbrush National Monument? What is that? It is. It's called
on.
Bitterbrush.
Maybell, Colorado.
What is
Come
it? What's it?
on.
Yes.
Yeah. It was,
Yes.
I think it was.
Yeah, it's Bitterbrush.
Bitterbrush Park or
Probably
something.
ought to
Park or
fact
something.
check this one.
And it is a
Yeah.
Bitterbrush
Wow.
factory. Fact check it right now. Bitterbrush,
Dude,
whatever
some of the most
monument.
unreal
Is it just a,
winter ground I've ever seen.
a topographical feature or a
No.
state park?
No, it's like as far as the
I
eye
think it
can
might
see.
be a wildlife
Bitterbrush.
management area or something, maybe.
The most amazing deer feed on planet Earth for
Bitterbrush
like
bench?
miles.
Should have been 2 hundies
We
all
were-
over in it.
And
Shoulda, coulda, woulda. Hey, you win some,
so
you lose
then,
some.
you know, Wyatt, he just doesn't take responsibilities for his own actions. It's got to be somebody else's fault. And this one was mine, and I ate the tag too. Oh boy! All right, never mind. Wyatt.
We're stalling. Waiting for
Why's
these.
got a regret?
Yeah.
What else?
Threw me on the
John.
spot.
John, what's
I
your biggest
regret
regret?
going too fast on a Mexican road.
On the 4-wheeler.
On a four-wheeler
when the cattle guard's
with
missing.
the cattle guard's gone and doing an
Oh.
end over end.
You're lucky you came back. So in
Oh,
all
I'm
seriousness,
so lucky.
you could have
So
broken neck, whatever.
I mean, I smashed
We'd
my
have had
gun
to-
case with my face.
Would have had to extradited your
And it was
body
cracked.
somehow back
Was
to the
it?
States.
Yeah. Cracked my gun.
Where would
gun
Epic
case.
be without you, John?
Oof,
Jeez.
Man,
Bronson, we're pretty lucky he made it.
trust me, it was probably a week before magazine deadline. What would you done?
What would we done?
Gone. You know, done a paper, 8-10 pages.
Anybody that's
and
really
put a
good at
staple.
graphic design, go ahead and give Adam a call. 435-263-0777. We definitely need a backup. John,
Ask
no
for
more
John.
Mexico trips.
No more Mexico. Yeah.
Yeah.
No more.
John.
All right. That's the only regret, or One of the
yeah.
nothing.
I have a New Mexico archery hunt that I would do different.
Yeah.
You know, like some of those. You learn
You're
at
talking
the end,
Unit 15.
Unit
you
15.
ran cameras.
I
Crushed
ran
it.
cameras. It was awesome, and I should have just sat water.
Yeah.
And
Early.
and-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You had the early hunt, didn't you?
yeah, I had the early
First
hunt,
to
and
14th.
you just don't know they're not going to be bugling at all, and you know you waste a lot of time. And if I would have sat water every day, it would have.
Get a couple blind buddies and just crush the
Blind
whole. All
buddies.
the,
It would have been awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
Jana got us those for our Christmas party. She's amazing. Thank you, Jana. I love it. She's always supportive in
All right.
all of our crazy ideas. By the way,
We have-
Wyatt fact checked. Go ahead.
Yeah, it is the Bitterbrush State Wildlife Area.
And so you see it, and there's
Yeah.
great big signage. And I mean, as far as you
Wasn't
can see.
designated by Congress, but it does have a name on a map.
Well, I don't know who designated, but it was right.
Yeah.
Right? Was it not miles of it?
It was unbelievable, the amount of bitterbrush.
I do
they had.
remember you telling me about that after you guys went.
Nothing but Forkies. I mean,
Yeah.
Well,
jeez.
As many Forkies as you could count, though. I
See?
couldn't count that high.
Why
It was
didn't we start off with the
unbelievable.
positive? Why don't we start off with the positive?
Probably one of the coolest Forky factories I've ever seen in my
Wyatt's
entire
always
life.
he's always a downer.
Hey,
we could
there-
have started off with
That's a
this.
new term that we should put in the mag. A Forky Factory. That's right. Let's do it.
Bronson and I challenge each other to use a certain word.
Sometimes we
in our
throw one
write-ups.
word out each magazine and hope it gets by Jana.
Jason, use this. You have to use this. And I'm like, all right, you have to use this.
So if it's ever kind of doesn't fit, there's ulterior motives sometimes.
Maybe roll with it. Doesn't have to be perfect.
Pre-scout.
Josh, what do you regret? Oh, come on.
Hunting related, Josh. That's don't. The sigh worried me. I'm worried what you're gonna say,
We can edit this.
but we can't unhear what we hear.
That's a good point. I might be scarred for life. He's already,
I got
already
plenty.
big. He's just like, I love those Santa Claus cheeks. He is. They're freaking red right now.
I'm getting nervous.
I got plenty of things to regret in my life, but one of them reminds me of a story when I was a game warden. This was a long time ago. So
Every time we say the word game warden, Wyatt starts sweating.
yeah, it does. Every time.
We lose Wyatt.
He might even just
Why does all these go
excuse
back
himself.
to me somehow? Everything circles to Wyatt.
Well, Wyatt and I, we're on the side of the office that there's no game wardens on.
Yeah, the non-gamey side.
All right, go ahead, Josh.
Somehow I get lumped into that, even
And
though
no,
I
it's
never held the
not the
badge.
story of
Same.
Wyatt when I got to spend a few hours with you one day.
Oh, no kidding. A little investigating going on.
Wow. Tell us
It's
more.
Because
More time.
I wasn't a game warden at that point.
I don't think you
Okay.
get much out of Wyatt.
But what, Josh?
When I was a game warden, so I was with my sergeant one time. I was a pretty new officer, and I got schooled by some kids on a 4-wheeler up on Beaver Mountain. We were
They
driving
ran.
along up there, and they didn't have permits with them or anything. And
How do you know?
there's some details of the story that would make it all come together, but I can't give those here. We can share that after. But they were lying, and I knew they were, so I was like, well, I'm going to follow them. I told them, I was like, well, do you have your licenses? And they said, yeah, we're back at our camp. So anyway, we tried to follow them back to their camp, and they were going like 2 miles an hour when we were on the good dirt road. And I was in the 3/4-ton Dodge truck that I had.
Bought him a little time to think.
And the second we got off on this little 2-track, we were coming up, and they were going faster and faster. And I was like, okay, any second, I got to turn my lights on and like get them to slow down because I had a hard time keeping up with them. And all of a sudden, we came up, and I come around the corner, and there's a split in the road, and they're gone. And so I'm like, you're kidding me. And all I can see is I hurry, get out, and I can hear a 4-wheeler just blaring in that speed, and then a mud puddle, like the water moving, and they were gone. We never found them. I spent all afternoon hunting every camp trying to find those kids.
So how does this relate to
So you're saying
regret?
they got away with it?
So then at that point I regretted it. So I learned at that point, if I ever come upon somebody and I think they're lying to, I'm going to take something. So then, so that way at least I have something.
What?
I'll take their bow. I'll
Josh,
take their
people
gun,
have
whatever.
rights.
No, I'll take it.
Even if you're a game warden,
So,
we all have rights.
So
Can't just
fast
take our
forward a
stuff.
couple years
Well-
later, I observed this elderly couple fishing.
Oh, boy. Oh, boy.
They were fishing, and I went down there, and I watched them fish, and I got down there, and they had seen me coming down the beach, and by the time I had left my truck, the time I got to them, they were no longer fishing. In fact, they were just sitting by the shores of Otter Creek Reservoir enjoying the view. I don't know if you've ever been there, but there's not much of a view there.
Sagebrush.
Sunset to their back.
Anyway,
Sagebrush to the front.
This is a great sunset. Yeah, you're not even facing it.
yeah. So we had a sensitive conversation about things I'd seen and things they claimed they weren't doing. So I was like, okay.
And they're like 80, right? If I remember.
Oh
right.
yeah, they were. And I was
Just
like, all
trying
right, I'm
to
I'm gonna
catch dinner though, right, Josh? And they're
Yeah.
I mean, just trying to eat. Make it
Yeah. So I held on to their driver's licenses, thinking, yeah, they're not. Like, because the problem was I had to walk back to my truck. Like, it was quite a ways back
You were
there.
walking around.
It was
the
a
shore,
good, it was a good 500 yards, which that's a long ways for me to walk. So anyway, I walked back there, and I'm sitting in my truck, and I have both their driver's licenses. I'm looking at them, and I look down the beach, and I could barely see the top of their car where they were at from there. And I look down, and I'm sitting there typing on my computer, and I look down after I get two of the tickets written. I'm like, what the heck? I don't see the car. So I jumped out, and I ran down, and there was a guy that was down the beach from me. And as soon as I got down towards him, and he looked up at me, he says, "They took off on you, man." I'm like, you're kidding me. So I ran back up to my truck, and there was this dirt road that goes out to the highway, and I could see a car flying and dirt.
I mean, we're
Just
talking
dust blowing
80-year-old people.
Oh,
They
yeah.
all say they don't
And
know how
I'm
to
like,
drive.
well, and you lose your driver's license. Common at that age, maybe. So you just go walk in. I lost my license. Can I get a new
So
one?
I had their driver's license in my hand. I'm like, they freaking took off on me, and I got their driver's licenses. They
Like, who
weren't,
does
they
that?
weren't from this state. I'd got enough out of them to know where they were camping, so I knew that they were probably going back to their camp. And so I was like, oh, geez, what do I do right here? And I was just got in my truck, and I started to chase them. I was hoping to catch them, and I wasn't going to catch them. They had a pretty good head start on me. So I called in to dispatch on the radio,
Wow.
and this is where the regret comes
Bike
in.
strips? Where are we
No,
going?
well, yeah. Well, that's why I didn't know what to do. So I call into dispatch, and I was like, hey, I need you to run these driver's licenses for me. So they did. And they're like, yeah, anyway, they give them to me. Well, the guy actually came back. He had like aggravated assault on a peace officer or something in
Whoa.
California, probably when he was, I don't know how old. And that's
Yeah.
why I was
When
like,
he was 63.
okay, anyway. And they're like, okay, do you need any backup? You know, they're reading all this 10 code. And I'm like, no, they took off on me. And then it was like, and they're like, I was 1088 or whatever. It's like the pursuit thing.
Huh.
The dispatch lady's like, are you 1088? I'm like, yeah.
Kind of sitting here
Yeah.
talking to you.
Yeah, I am.
Don't know where to go.
And all of a sudden, every law enforcement officer in the whole county was like, the radio just starts going off. Where are they at? I'm over here. I'm over here.
They were ready for a chase.
Every highway patrolman, every deputy, and I was
It's
just
got to
like,
be kind of fun.
oh,
Well,
no.
this part of Utah, you're looking for something to do. You need
Oh,
excitement.
they were.
There's sagebrush and
yeah,
white
we
line.
Yeah.
We have
They
volunteer
were
police officers here. I want to be one just to listen to the radio. Maybe act out something.
helicopter pilot was ready to even fly. Really? Down. And so they're like, everybody's coming that way. I'm coming down highway such and such. I'm coming down this highway. And I was just like, oh, and you know,
This
they
turned
teach you
into-
this thing in
You're talking. This is for fishing.
Yes,
This is a
yes.
fishing
and,
incident.
and you know what they teach you in like the police academy, what you do. Like this is now fleeing from a law
Yeah.
enforcement officer. It's a felony, and so you do a felony stop, which is you stop the vehicle and you get them out at gunpoint. And so I'm like, this
and
is
they were two pulling at the time.
Yes, yeah. And they were fishing without licenses. And so, anyway,
Pretty soon you're wondering, okay, so how did it end?
the good thing was at some point it was kind of funny because they were starting to read and they're like, okay, go ahead and give the description. One of the highway patrolmen, he was really keened in on it. I think he was ready to shoot somebody, so he was keened in
You
on
can't
it.
say that. Josh.
Sorry, he was ready for action, and he came and he calls on the radio. He's like, I need the description, and so they give the description to the people, and they're like, and what's the date of birth? And they're like, she rattles it
1910.
off, and the guy goes, hold on, can you repeat that? And she reads it again.
1920.
And he goes, and the
1920.
dispatcher says, yes, they're 80. And like in his reply, he's like, okay, and you can literally hear his sirens and everything go, hey, I'll be out of my car at
Hey,
the coffee shop.
I'm going to
That was
the
it. You had no backup.
Yeah, basically.
Even though he had a big old long
Anyway.
rap sheet.
they decided, I think they got a little ways and probably remembered they forgot their driver's license. I had them with them or whatever. They ended up like ducking into where the bathrooms and stuff were at the
marina.
and anyway, we tried to find them. And then the park ranger called me. He found them over there.
Wow.
Confiscated their fish and fed your family.
So the regret
The
was
regret-
not getting something from someone, but then you learned that even when you do, it still
yeah,
doesn't
it still
solve
doesn't.
the problem.
Yeah, it still doesn't do
Okay.
anything. And then you have to call out on the radio that you're in a police pursuit.
Over
Over an
octogenarian,
80-year-old.
chasing
You have them face
octogenarians.
down in the dirt at
Yeah.
gunpoint.
And yeah, my evidence was they should have power bait all over the fingers and glitter on their face. The power bait. That's how you'll know what's
Wow,
there.
I can't compete with that story. So don't.
Oh, some funny stuff.
Well,
Jeez. Archibald, do you have any regrets? Not killing that turkey that chased you.
Yeah, he deserved it. Besides picking very questionable campsites that some of you have experienced.
Yeah, I've been there. But just because it involved me being in my underwear later. That's it, trying to
Why
survive.
out in the middle of the night,
When-
shaking trucks and
I was
killing
talking
mice?
about the mice-infested one out in Nevada.
Oh, was that?
Sounds
yeah.
like everyone
Yeah.
you pick's kind of.
There we
Weird
go.
stuff happens to me, dude. Just
Wyatt's crushing everybody that likes him.
But
The main thing that it makes you think about is regrets that you might have.
It's a good
Okay.
point, like not hunting over-the-counter archery and 13A on the strip when we could have done that, right?
Because
Oh.
things do change over time, and we think in the moment, you think
That's going to be there forever.
This is going to be here forever.
I'll bet you there's someone that just heard that right now and don't believe that just happened. That used to happen.
Yeah, we used to be able to
What do
do
you mean
that.
you could do that? What do you mean? That was till 2000 what? 8, 9,
I
10,
don't-
somewhere right there?
seven.
Yeah.
I know
Seven.
in 27
It'd be
you
the
could.
same year
Don't ask
I
me
killed
how.
Chief because there was
You
other
could.
people that had over-the-counter archery
Yeah, that
tags
was
that year.
07.
it was.
So it was 7, 8, somewhere right there it ended. Not that long ago. 15 years we're talking. It ended. But wait, maybe we should go around. Talk about more, though. That's a good one. I mean, I agree. I was old enough to know better. And I don't want to finish the other line of that song, but because I don't think I was too dumb to care, but but I was old enough to know better that I should have been doing
We
that.
just didn't take it serious. Same thing. I mean, back in the good days, we had. I mean, Bronson, you remember because we're old. John, maybe one other guy. I don't know. There was, we used to get over the counter, basically general deer tags. We hunt November
Right.
muzzleloader.
Our general was a dedicated hunter tag when we were kids.
Yeah.
When you got a general, you
could
bought
hunt.
it, and you got an archery, and if you didn't kill, you got to go to the rifle, and then if you didn't, you get to hunt the first
Yeah.
5 to 10 days in
Let's
November,
just
like
say
we do
you were
now.
in November.
On the limited entry general draw.
And
now.
I remember my dad smashing a book typical on that tag.
Yeah, it was
Nat
a,
Booker.
it was a dedicated hunter tag that you bought at Monticello Merc.
I mean, for all intents and purposes, you were allocated a deer. Like you were entitled to a deer.
Yeah.
For all, everybody killed a deer. If you
got-
wanted a deer, you killed one.
Yeah. Now you got to draw general, draw dedicated. Dedicated's only 2 out of 3 year harvest. I mean, there's so many changes. We could go in every other state.
You got to
Look at what's happening.
work your guts off, pay out.
It was only 5 or 6 years ago you could get Idaho deer tags. I remember that year. Remember when Tide drew a youth deer hunt in 54? You remember that year?
Yep.
And when a youth draws a deer tag, they can only buy the cheap version of a deer permit.
Mentor.
If the adult has a corresponding
Right.
deer tag. I didn't have one. That was like August. He drew in the second draw. Remember the
Right.
second draw in August.
Yeah.
I went and bought a deer tag then just to have one to hunt across the highway so he could buy his for roughly 20
But now
bucks.
that system's
Oh.
even frustrated because those tags are basically not available that late in the
But
game.
how recent was that? That was when he was like,
Oh.
I don't know,
3 years
12
ago.
or 13,
4 years ago.
whatever, 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah.
I bought a general tag in August that was still left over. And it wasn't a quota. It wasn't a region or a unit. It was a statewide
It seems like it
mule
was
deer tag.
last year. Has it already been 4 to 5 years?
Well,
I mean,
dude, he's 18 years old now, and he
Jeez.
was, whatever,
That's
13
crazy.
probably when that happened.
yeah.
So 5 max, let's just say. That's happened fast. Now we're dealing with a cluster that December was with that website and hourglasses and things online, tens of thousands
waiting
of people in line. And so that's gone away. Bit by bit, we're seeing Colorado archery OTC units being pulled from the statewide OTC. Every year, it seems like there's a couple more unit clusters being pulled from that.
But there's new opportunity opening up. Lions over the counter. Basically, not even over the counter. You don't even need a permit in Utah if this gets signed. Huh?
Yeah.
Huh?
But it's really been over the counter. You'd have to buy
I
a
know,
$58 tag, but it's really, for me, that doesn't really change a whole lot. If I want to shoot a mountain lion, I could have yesterday, just like I can next month. But anyway,
Trapping.
yeah, that's a different story.
There's some crazy changes in Utah. We're just that people are so frustrated about the deer that basically, another thing that we're dealing with is lions and being able to shoot them at will as long as you have a hunting license. Don't need a tag year round, wherever, whenever, and any size or gender or anything. So kind of crazy, which has caused another bunch of controversy. But things are changing so fast. That's what we're talking about. Changes, regrets. Enjoy it while you got it kind of thing. Devin, what kind of regrets are you thinking about right now?
I can think of a couple throughout my life.
Hunting related.
Yeah, we'll stick with that. When I remember when Wyoming, I was in high school, maybe a sophomore, junior. Some older guys were talking about Wyoming going to a draw. And I remember telling myself, well, I need to do this, and I missed it. I think I was 2 years behind.
On the points.
I'm in high school.
Yeah.
I
same
still
thing.
spent the money on the deer and the antelope.
Yeah.
I did not buy the $50 elk
Yeah.
till a couple years down the road.
For
but
all intents and purposes, food comes first.
that's true. And I had to pay for Arizona and things like that, so that's good. But then I think I'd have a couple more deer on my wall if I just would, I hunted Colorado in 2007. That's the only time I went on. It was like a second choice draw, and it was awesome. The
That
good
was
old
still a
days.
good era. It was.
It was, and I only did it once, probably and then I had 10-year points after that.
Yeah.
I was
I know
guiding
more
and
often.
making
But there's
money, trying to
other
pay for school. You know
But
what I
back
mean?
then, even Utah General was good. There's so many opportunities that.
Yeah. Hindsight, though, I wish I would have been there every year possible. Done
Yeah.
one less deer hunt or whatever, but
Guided one less hunter.
yeah,
in Nevada,
yeah,
so
and
you
went
could
out
make
for
a
5 days.
7 day or 5 day show
Yeah.
up and hunt.
Even
like
if
we
I
do
could
now.
go out for 3 days, that would have been worth it.
It's kind of what we
So
do
that's
now.
what you're telling
We just
your
try to be
younger
there.
self, like your older self telling your younger self, and what you would tell Gen Z here or whoever,
Yeah.
right, is like, this is what you shouldn't do. You shouldn't just.
Even get a tag in case you kill early and have time to sneak away. It would have been well
But
worth
the problem
it.
is just like we're all talking about, is you assume these opportunities are never going to
Yeah.
end. They're going to
Yeah.
be the next
It'll be
year.
all the same.
You're going to be young forever. You don't even picture your body getting old. 20 years seems like might as well be 200.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's hard to think that what's in front of you is so great, so awesome, it won't change, all that. You got to think that it's going to. It will. Just look at people. Just look at people that grew up and only archery hunted in Utah over bait. That's all they ever did. What do they do when that stops?
Well, Josh, you've had guys reach out to you and ask you, what do I do?
Yeah.
for
yeah.
that purpose, you mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's all they ever
Wasn't
did.
it you? I think
Yeah.
it was you who
Yeah,
was
we
telling
talked
me.
about, yeah.
And basically they were like, what do I do? I've only hunted
They're
over bait.
trying to figure out how to hunt because for the first 3 or 4 years of their life, that's what they were doing, was baiting and trail cameraing and, doing that. So they never tried to spot and stalk a bow or a buck with their bow. And
Well, didn't that come up a couple of different times
Yeah.
where
Oh, yeah.
guys trying to spot and stalk? And what do I do next? Like,
Yeah.
what am I doing?
oh yeah, and when it was there, I think about that's kind of one of the regrets I have. There's a deer that I never did kill that I'll regret the rest of my life, and I look back and this is how stupid it was because that was a method, and it could be such a good method. I was literally, instead of finding myself spotting and stalking, trying to glass, figuring out a buck's routine, I was figuring out where to put apples to get in front of him.
Yeah.
I'm dead serious. And it was like how much I wasted that time
Yeah.
because there was already 7 apple piles out there. Like I was walking
Yeah.
past apple pile and you're trying to figure out, I'm like,
Does he want
Who
galas?
has
or
the sweetest?
yeah. And like it makes me so angry.
How
it makes me so
expensive do I
angry.
go? What does
Because
this buck's taste?
I
Caramel,
feel
caramel apples. Did anybody ever try
No.
that? You caramel.
no, caramel.
It would be amazing. Probably
a
choke
regret.
on the stick, though, and then you'd be liable for dead deer.
And I would have ate them all before they hit the ground. Anyway. Let's be honest. But I think a lot of other guys were in that same area trying to bait deer to them, and I was trying to do this. I was doing a mix. I was trying to beat them to their apple pile, essentially. Get an apple pile between theirs and where the deer was feeding from. If I would have just went and hunted the deer, probably would have had a lot better chance of killing him rather than doing something like that.
That's a
and
good one.
I don't know.
But to be fair, don't beat yourself up too bad. Like in Bronson, you and I, we've hunted a bit together when we were younger. And it's just, we hunt different now.
yeah.
If I could take today's me and wisdom and put it in my youth body and the opportunities we had when we were a youth, I mean, geez, look out.
Well, and at that time, too, that's another big regret. At that time, I felt like this was the new standard because the thing was there were certain things that had kind of, whether it was a 5-day hunt, but it was also like El Nino stuff. We had a ton of deer. So you're looking back at 15, 16, 17. We had a pile of deer that were coming up. So there's deer everywhere, a lot of good bucks. Tags were relatively low. They were in the process of going up, so they weren't high just yet. So there was a significant amount of opportunity, especially on general season units, at deer that should never probably ever live on a general season unit. And I thought this was the new standard.
This is all I ever need to do. I can hunt my Utah every year for dedicated, and I got more than I can ever do.
I'm going to rewrite the record.
I could sit there and glass across to the Ponsegont unit, and I thought, I never even need to apply there because I'm right here on this side, and I can hunt deer right here that I would kill over there any day of the week.
So you didn't even apply for limited entry.
And I could. Well, no.
You didn't take it that far.
I was getting elk points or whatever, but I was looking over here and thinking, man, I can do this here every year, and I felt like that was going to last. And all of a sudden, 2018 rolls around, and deer start dying left and right, and here we are now. I would give body parts to go back and hunt.
Which body parts? left ones, right ones,
ears, noses, whatever, certain digits. But I would look back to just even see some of those deer that we were hunting right then and there at that time, and I thought it was going to be the standard. Had I known what it is now, I would have hunted a lot harder. Also, at the same time, you have dedicated hunter, and I always felt like the dedicated hunter is awesome, but you also feel like, I've got the muzzleloader hunt, so I didn't put it all into the archery hunt. Well, I got the early rifle hunt, I got the late rifle hunt, so I didn't put it all into the muzzleloader hunt. That kind of thing. I left a lot of stuff on the table, I guess, is my regret there.
I think too is like I had a guy the other day tell me, well, I want to hunt west Colorado because it's closest to me and I can hit it more regular, and I want to hunt it pretty regular, and I know it's a little easier to draw, and I don't want to drive through good country to get to good country further away. I have the same thing. I would leave southern Utah on good years general because it was an easy tag to get. I didn't put any value in it.
Jason and I are both in that boat. We have a lifetime license, and I'm guilty of that. A lot of years you think it's more appealing. It's a more appealing, more coveted tag just because it's in a neighboring state.
And it took 2 or 3 years where I get this one every year.
And it wasn't. We didn't value it as much.
No.
Some years, a lot of years we didn't even hunt.
Yeah, most years.
Yeah, just because we filled our schedule with Colorado or other stuff, and then, different periods of your life, especially when our kids were younger and all that, and different, educational / career, job, whatever. Time was maybe a little bit more limiting, and the general season was what was left over, and if there's no days, all right, you didn't hunt it.
Yeah.
Speaking of lifetime licenses, that's one of my regrets, not getting one of those.
Did you have the conscious decision though? Like,
yeah,
did you
I mean,
make
I was a kid. I could have done it,
Happened when I was 19. I was out of the country. I was on a mission. I remember getting a letter from my dad, and it was already too late
a lifetime?
because it was a 10-day lag in the mail. Back then, there's no email, there's no FaceTime. It was like, they're going to end doing these. Do you want me to do this? And I remember the date he said in there had already passed. And I'm like,
I
hope he did that.
yes. Verbally just said that. Well, and they did. Him and my dad and Aaron all did it. And geez, at the time, you just thought it was okay. Yeah, that's $500.
It was more the value of. It was more the value of the. It included the hunting license, fishing, birds, upland, all this, and you were like, "Hey, is that the value of what am I going to spend?" You never. It wasn't that it was going to guarantee you a deer tag because in your mind,
it was guaranteed already.
And in your mind, guaranteed deer tags were never going away.
Yeah,
you couldn't even see the future that they would go away. So now the value is you get a guaranteed deer tag. It's not about the money.
Oh, yeah.
It's not about the money.
Right.
Back then, it was like, is this a good value money-wise? Am I going to live long enough to
cash in?
Make sure this $500 was worth it.
Turns into $2,000.
Right. Now it's the deer tag. The fact that you get a deer tag, that's the value. And you can't even see that. You can't even see that. Wyatt, you're quiet. You're thinking about all the bookheads you've let go. or that are on the walls of clients that you should have been yours. What are you thinking?
Oh, I just had a lot of fun hunting and guiding, but that's kind of where I learned how to hunt through the guiding world. So, I mean, I can't say I necessarily regret taking all those years and putting them towards clients' skills.
Yeah. That's the way I guided a lot in Nevada, and it taught me. I wanted to guide somewhere where I could get tags after it was all over, hoping that I wasn't going to just guide forever. You know what I mean? Thinking that was a supplement to our income, and I never was full time. It was a supplement to the income.
And that's very similar to what Devin did too. Now he's capitalizing up there on all his knowledge in Nevada.
Oh yeah, two for two.
So
Actually,
A
three
couple
for
little
three.
canyons I've killed with clients and myself, multiple bucks, like $4, $5, $6.
Wow.
And me and Wyatt were talking this morning about when we were kids, and like, I remember telling my dad, like, we need to apply in this limited entry, you know, and he's just like, well, why would we do that? We have a place to go. We can all go together. And luckily he did. We did it, or I did it, and I'm probably 2 or 3 years behind what I should be. Wyatt gave us a good story this morning about why he was 1 point shy of what he should be.
Yeah.
We look at the data when we could have applied and how many points we have, and he's down a year and I'm down like 2 or 3.
You mean like when you turn 12 or 14 back then?
Was back then, yeah. Bad grades, high school. Dad did not apply me.
Are you crapping me?
One year.
What
and I
a
still pay for it
dad.
today.
What a good dad.
Probably the worst thing you could have done to a kid.
That's why that's why he was such a good student in college. I mean, stuck with him all those years.
All those years.
Yeah, all those years.
He was very focused in college, wasn't he, Devin?
Those 8 years we worked so hard
For the
Trying to get that point back.
Getting that PhD.
getting that point back.
Were that
Yeah.
about the PhD longevity is about 8 years?
Yeah, it didn't work
Yeah.
out for us too well.
Dr. Bowles.
I didn't know you were a PhD.
Dr. Devin.
Yeah, here we are.
Here we are talking about regrets,
But it's
deviating from the hunting world.
It's when you're a little kid, like you don't know. It's like your return
Yeah.
on investment when you're talking about those. You have no idea what that return will be. And I remember being a little kid with my dad, and we'd go up, and it was an any bull unit, and we'd go up there for fun during the bow hunt. We never saw a soul, and we're calling in bulls for like 20 yards.
Wow.
You know, I don't have a bow. My dad's never shot a bow, but looking back, it's like, man, instead of spending all my money on a rifle,
Yeah.
if I would have just got a bow, it would have been a whole different deal. I mean, it was awesome, you know. But
Well,
just-
and
there's
maybe and we
nobody.
need another podcast that's the opposite of regrets because we've had a good life.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
very
We
true.
can talk about things we glad we did, of course. That should be another one.
Yeah.
One of my biggest ones, you mentioned yours earlier, was the Wyoming sheep. That's I regret that, but it's just a timing thing. It's not that I wasn't aware. It was just that when you're in college and you start having kids, brand new married, start having kids, like you said, food and bills
You're
come first.
justifying every dime
Everything.
that exits the family budget.
Yep, and didn't have a clear concept of a 75-25 split and run some math and to see, okay, in 20 years you're going to have a guaranteed Rocky tag if you just start.
Yeah.
Wasn't even thinking of that. Same thing, Arizona, back then, you used to have to do everything on paper. You had to send a check in. Used to be for the permit fees,
Yeah.
use credit card checks. We both talked about doing that over the years, and that's basically
And
a
credit card
check.
checks, they were like, when I got them in the mail, they didn't even look like they look fake.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this is play money, you know. And it was like, and they worked like you would if you
Write
read
the
it.
check,
If you
and
wrote it out,
went
it actually
onto your
cashed.
credit card. But they didn't let you put in the credit card in Arizona and some other states.
So we used
Montana,
credit card
remember,
checks.
Montana, you used to have to get a
Yeah.
cashier's check to put in
Yeah.
for sheep, moose, or goat, or money order. You couldn't write a personal. I mean, so I'm a couple points behind in Arizona, and it's for that reason. It was the same exact era that you're just timing. And then within 2-3 years, I'm freeing up a little bit, and then you start applying, and then 5 years later, you're like, oh, those 2 or 3 years that I didn't get started
They were
are
critical.
a big difference. Big difference.
And so, guys that are wondering if I should start now, yes, absolutely, start now.
Whenever
I love
you
all
can.
these other people. There's some other, influencers out there, whatever, not necessarily social media, just in general, that are saying, the draws aren't really worth it, and this, that, and the other.
Well,
It's just not.
what's your option for, let's say, 80-90% of people out there that can't just go buy every
Save your
single
money,
tag
and you can
they
afford
want.
a $2,000 hunt. Well, that $2,000 hunt in 3 to 4 years will be $4,000. The way things are going, and the inflation, and all the demand, and even if it's available, you
Well,
can't
and
just
if-
buy
and if-
every.
And
hunt
what are you
want.
doing if you say
can't.
that and say save your money for 20 years? Okay, you're $200 a year in Arizona.
Yeah.
10 years, there's $2,000, right?
What's that
Well,
going to do?
so that mean you don't hunt for the next 10 years because you're only saving that $2,000 to go on what hunt? Could
Right.
you couldn't go on a guided coyote hunt in 10 years for $2,000.
You can't probably right now.
I don't think so.
So
yeah.
and I think that's our point. Is those same points? Utah, you can get a dedicated hunt, call it a general deer, but dedicated point, general deer point, limited entry deer point, and you can hunt dedicated or general while you're waiting for something.
Every 2 to 5 years. Even for non-residents, that's a pretty normal interval. And you've got other states that you have other stuff in a 2 to 5 year interval. So you're having to do something.
Yeah,
you have to do more with less. We've talked about that. You can't just wait for limited entry tags to fill your schedule.
You can't, but there are some things we don't even. Well, I did it last year. Got a second choice tag in Colorado for deer and turned it back and got my money back because they already gave me a point, so it didn't matter. But at least it gave me a guaranteed opportunity to hunt deer through the draw system, which there's people out there saying, don't apply anymore. It doesn't make any sense. It's just not reality.
And you never know. We're talking about changes, and sometimes I feel like we talk about changes are all bad, but you never know when a state could go from a preference to a bonus or something.
Well,
and then you might be glad when you draw a tag with 6 points that you never would have had the chance to before. So having 6 points may be the best decision you ever made. And, you don't know what
points
changes are coming in the future.
Just gives you options. Yeah.
They open doors everywhere.
That's right. Weird stuff. We've all drawn weird stuff. Use points on them.
I've used points I thought I'd never even use.
Yeah, but you have.
I initially thought this is a total waste, and it wasn't.
Your elk a couple years in Colorado. There's an example.
Wyoming antelope, whatever, like whoever.
Yeah.
Anyway, whoever thought antelope meat was as good as it is.
Feed my family every 3 days with that stuff.
So Wyatt got off without talking about real regrets because he deflected to Devin or something. Do you have any other?
I brought up the one right there. Bad grades early on in life.
We were talking about it this morning.
1 point.
I did not.
But that's
know.
a regret of not getting the grade. Okay. Anything else?
You want me to go back to Colorado?
No, see, he would deflect to me. I know you deflected to Devin. I mean, I'm cool.
He owned it. He got bad grades, so he got punished 1 year. He was on the timeout bench.
And that
any tags you didn't do,
huge, right?
It is.
Any tags you didn't do justice, you wish you could take back or do again. Any do-overs.
That's a whole different conversation.
Is it?
Oh yeah.
You what?
Well,
hold on. Let's let
part of it is what John said though the other day about after his hunt in New Mexico. If he knew, I'm going to sit water now and kill a bull, they're coming in, and not think, oh, the rut's going to build in a week or 10 days and it's going to be awesome the last 5 days, and that didn't happen. A lot of it you don't know until the hunt plays out. My Nevada elk hunt a year or two ago, I've had Wyoming elk hunts, that way that you also got to learn a unit by hunting it the first time, and if you could then rewind and go hunt it again.
Which we've talked about.
You can't really count that as a regret. It's just you wish you could gain the experience some other way, but you have to go through the trenches. You gotta learn a unit by hunting it once.
We've done that many times.
Yeah.
Try new units and wish you could take it back, and
you can't get back very soon. Is the problem.
Yeah.
Why it's thinking. I have one that maybe
that's why it's like, what is there to say?
Wyatt has no other regrets.
No, I have regrets. Yes, there is one 240 buck that I probably should have used my points and hunted instead of killing with the governor's tag.
Oh, okay.
There is that one deer, but
you have already a net non-typical buck in the book, so you don't need two.
But two would have been awesome.
John.
But yeah, I have one that maybe somebody can learn something from, especially like younger hunters. But I had me and a buddy had a Unit 63 tag in Colorado, and it was a 9-day season. We hunted.
I remember this.
7 days.
Is this where you took the video clip of the private land trespassers will be shot?
Oh, this wasn't the first time you went there.
No, it was
and
the
sent a
second
picture
time.
to me and Jason, and like, I passed this buck, and we're like, what are you thinking? Remember that 190 buck
totally
bedded?
remember.
190 4-point. Probably.
Yeah, not
maybe
that
bigger.
time.
Okay.
But
you should regret that buck.
Yeah.
Okay. Continue.
Like if that buck lived in 66 last year.
John, let us remind you of all your regrets. You should have.
That should be
What
the
about
picture.
that one time?
Dig that picture up.
Exactly.
That picture should be the picture of this podcast.
It's
that
true.
Buck.
It
It's
was
a
a
bedded
wild
buck.
buck. Yeah. Anyway.
John.
You remember that?
I totally remember.
I let this buck know it was opening day.
And being the armchair warriors and judges that we are.
It was that era Devin's talking about,
yeah.
though. It was maybe 2005
Well,
to
it was
9.
back when they were regular.
It was incredible.
It was
in
a regular
Colorado right there.
occurrence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, the second time, though.
So the second time, it was rough. It was a rough hunt. Besides on private where we filmed
Numerous good
Copious
bucks.
amounts of bucks
From the public side.
from the public
Let's
side.
be honest,
Yes,
yeah.
yeah. I mean,
Somebody's going to say that you're a trespasser.
I mean,
No, just-
the deer knew where the private was, and they just stayed there. So, anyway, over those first 5 days, we didn't see a 4-point. We saw a couple of 2 points. I mean, it was rough. And then, just by chance, my buddy killed a mid-190s buck, and awesome deer. And after he killed it, he was ready to go, because it was such a brutal hunt. And we left 2 days early. Third season, best 2 days of the last days. I regret not sticking it out,
Well,
even though it was
so
bad.
brutal,
You just never
and
know.
then one deer happened, but you
Yeah.
just rationalized that won't happen again. I'm
Right.
burned out. Let's go.
We struck gold
Yeah.
one time. Two's not going to happen, and so and yeah, when one guy's ready to go, and you're kind of like, oh, okay, let's pack it up, and so we left 2 days early. So
One thing about hunting, the worst hunt of your lifetime could make a drastic turn in a matter of seconds.
Yeah. It's one giant away
Yeah.
from being the best hunt of your life.
and sometimes the mental part of hunting when it's tough is harder than the physical part. Sticking it out.
Almost all cases, it feels like that.
Yeah. Some of those outcomes. I've got Nevada. Arch, you were there. You were in Arizona last year. Great hunt, but man, you're a split second from hunting maybe 2 days and killing a giant bull. Versus,
Or how about like
versus hunting 12 days?
one step or
Yeah.
Yeah.
another one step or another 1 step or 1 second?
Especially with a bow.
Or in my
Or-
case, a right turn, around the road.
What's
What's
that one?
that story?
No, I'm just saying, you never know what's around the next corner when you're driving roads.
Oh,
That's true, but what story are we talking about?
is there a specific?
No specific story.
What brought it up?
Just saying that you guys are talking 1 step at a time. Me, I'm usually in the truck.
Oh,
Slow rolling the pines.
Why it's not hiking?
Just at the right turn.
Slow rolling the pines.
if you have the cruise on 10 miles an hour versus 7, you're going to miss stuff. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, you easily could, yeah.
Or how about my regret being out in the desert when really I should have been with you, slow rolling the pines. Or
It worked out for us last year.
Yeah, well, don't admit any of that. All those are tough hunts. Wyatt.
Why cruise control doesn't go low enough for his truck?
That's
So
one
he's
thing that
got-
ticks me off.
I was in the back of his truck the other day sitting down. I noticed there was like this brick with duct tape and a big bungee cord on it. I'm like, why? What's this brick for? And he's like, that's a 7 mile an hour brick. That's a 10 mile an hour brick. He had
Just
different
depending on the
weights. For,
terrain.
Is it true?
No, it's not true.
he was ready to buy some bricks.
Jason's like, that's a heck of an
He's
idea.
got these calibrated.
yeah.
It
Where'd you
does
buy
bother
'em?
me. I think cruise control should go a little bit lower. I've tried it a lot of times. Like there's sometimes you just
4 miles an hour.
Yeah, it's got a little heavier brick, a little lighter brick, depending on the mile an hour. What's
Where did
bungee
you
What
cord.
that allows you to do is just stand out on your running board and just hold all you hold is the steering wheel, and you can get a little higher vision, right?
Go like those old farmers.
why don't
just
we
put it
have
low
Why
and-
don't we have high
off.
racks in the U.S.? Seriously, I've been wondering. Like you can.
Oh, I've seen
You
them.
can drive roads. Have you?
Oh, yeah.
Where?
You can't shoot off them, though.
Yeah,
No, you
private
can't
shooting
shoot
for
No,
vehicles.
you
But
can't.
in the U.S.
Oak brush.
But
Oak
let's
brush
say
unit.
Ponce or Kaibab or whatever. Wouldn't a high rack be kind of cool?
Oh,
just
you
for
could kill it.
glass.
Yeah, and then you're going to have to climb down.
You're going to get decapitated by limbs most of the time on those
Yeah.
trees, but
But I mean,
I've seen
Mexico,
plenty of,
you got
I've seen
blue
plenty
sky.
of couches in the beds of trucks.
oh yeah, that's
in Utah.
we call
Yeah.
that.
guys with arrows knocked
and
out
I'm not
both
a fan
sides
of
the
that.
truck.
I'm not a fan of
I
that.
saw one last year right here on top
Yeah.
of Cedar Mountain.
Yeah, Beaver Mountain is.
Yes,
Growing up
that's
on the
pretty
San Juan de
notorious.
Bajo, we
Yes.
called those the Texas tree stands. And I'm sorry, Texans, but we were close to Texas, and we had a lot of guys.
There was some
bring their tactics up. You can high rack
back
probably
in the day.
Texas.
Back in the day, there were some portable batteries and spotlights and ground blinds out in some of the western country.
I don't know. I wouldn't know about that.
Oh,
But-
come on.
No, I don't know. What,
I don't either, personally. I don't, but
all you
there
people
were some
in
crazy
Texas,
tactics back in the day.
not all Texans hunt from couches. I just want to say that. Just before
Sometimes
I get lit
they're-
up.
Sometimes they're a hard chair.
Big, tall bar stool
Bar stools are common.
welded to the bed of your truck so it can't tip over. Well,
All right. Well, hey,
what else?
Logan,
Gen Z.
do you have any
What's a regret
regrets
in the hunting world? We got anything.
Oh man.
We know you're younger, but just in the 10 years or so that you've been able to hunt? Probably
10 years or so that you've been alive?
No.
Yeah. No, listen to all you guys talk. I don't know that I'm old enough to have realized the mistakes I made yet.
Oh, that's a good
Because
perspective.
I'm sure I've made plenty, but just hasn't quite hit yet. One thing.
You're just chalking it everything up to bad luck.
Yeah, exactly. No, one thing that comes to mind is I think I relied a little bit too much on, Dad's gear. When I was in high school, I should have accumulated more, because now I'm out on my own trying to do my own hunts. And, Dad's gear isn't always there anymore.
Yeah. Dad wants Dad's gear.
Dad wants Dad's gear. Dad sold a lot of Dad's gear, so he doesn't have as much extra.
Should have bought Dad's second-hand gear from
Yeah.
Dad.
See, and so just accumulating a little bit as I went along, instead of now all of a sudden I want to hunt a little bit more seriously, trying to buy gun, bow, binocular, spotting scope pack.
We
And
try
you want
and help
good.
you every day, Logan.
Hey,
You
I
know that.
appreciate
we always
that
try and
help.
help you buy new stuff.
Biden gives you kids money for doing nothing.
I know. Well, he doesn't anymore.
I mean, if you act like you're going to college, you're getting money.
I think we're all out of money, because I haven't seen any of that yet. Yeah, I don't know. That's the only regret that comes to mind. I haven't put in much for Nevada yet. I probably should start doing that sooner rather than later, I think.
Well,
But,
yeah, you're going to live right here.
yeah.
We'll
I think
talk
that's
about
important.
that
We
off
need
the
to-
air. Yeah, we do this every day with people. We develop short-term, long-term application strategies. So we'd
Is that what we do?
talk with
That's
one
what
of
we
us and
do.
we'll be able to help you.
That's what we do, Gen Z. We got you.
But yeah, remember when he came out the other day with how good of a child I guess he was? He must have got a lot better grades than Wyatt. The points he has accumulated for a certain state and species there.
Does
It's
he?
just
True.
like,
Arizona
What?
elk, it's pretty legit.
yeah,
Oh, really?
like
Well,
your
you're-
father must love you a lot.
I would say not to talk about my dad too much on a podcast, but he did make me promise that if this ever came up, I had to shout him out, because he was very good at making sure I got points when I was a younger kid, and he didn't have the same rules that Wyatt's dad did. I had some bad grades sometime, and I still went in the hat. So
He was just grateful you were still going to school. Dads in our era were mean.
Those are
At least should have went
participation
points
points.
only or something.
If I was 1 minute late from a date, I had a
Took me
problem.
right out of the
He
drawing.
could have done points only. Maybe have a sit down with him.
Well, it might be why you're such
20
a
years.
good guy right now. 'Cause there's a lot of guys downtown think you're a good guy. Wyatt.
Yeah,
Well,
there is.
and you're not. There's some. In 20 years, I've never heard that story told today. So you're not that bitter about it.
Well,
but-
maybe it's just so bitter that I hold it close to my heart.
Yeah, we had
Maybe
kind of
that's
a moment this morning, got a little emotional, but
Wow.
I figured
One
he's-
more point. Okay. Hypothetically, if you had one more point this year, what you doing with that? Because this is we can't talk with you about real life with what your current points are. But hypothetically, with one more point, would you hunt deer than Utah this year?
No, I'll never make it to the max point holder in the state if I use those points. So
That's his end goal. He doesn't care about hunting. He just wants to be the last guy on the top of the mountain.
Okay. Well,
just want to be that
No.
one guy.
hey, I've tried. I've tried every angle to get Wyatt to divulge what he would do. So even hypothetical scenarios don't work. But
He's not taking the bait.
no, he's not. He's so diplomatic. He'd be.
then he'll
be
be
a
the
good
top guy,
politician.
and then they'll go to a lottery system.
Baiting's off limits even with Wyatt.
Go point squared on me.
Can't even bait him into
No,
the subject.
he's too good. He's too coy. He's just not going to outsmart.
All right. Well, Logan, is there any advice you would give to kids even younger than you?
even younger than me,
Steal your dad's gear.
steal your dad's gear, put aside some money, and buy some stuff of your own.
It's hard.
That's
Getting
deep.
a job, a good paying job's hard.
It is tough.
I don't know. Like pulling weeds nowadays.
They won't even
it's
do it,
like
John.
$15 an hour. I mean,
Yeah, they won't even do it.
yeah,
And they
So-
still go offer somebody $15 an hour.
yeah,
to
they won't
weeds
do
at
it.
our-
Yeah, I mean, at one time I was managing, the HOA complex and all the maintenance and the yards and all that stuff, and yeah, we couldn't get kids to even pull weeds for $15 an hour. So yeah,
And there's still a part of my brain when I hear that. They're like, I'll do it.
Oh yeah.
Because
Oh yeah.
I had to do it
we
for
worked
nothing.
we worked so many
Yeah,
jobs
I had to do it
back
for
in our
nothing.
day.
Before I had a baseball game,
Nothing.
like, we got to get this done before your game. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to miss my baseball game.
That's right.
Let's
Well,
date ourselves.
And
There were hard ultimatums.
Oh,
Hard.
yeah.
our dads were
Get
mean.
it done or you don't.
There was
Well, they
no
were just-
911 in our day.
I didn't even look at them as mean.
You,
It was
you had
just
to know
normal.
the dispatch number to
It
get
was
somebody
just
to
normal.
get paid to do that? That would have been something.
I remember being so stoked to get on my Huffy and ride into
I
town.
loved my Huffy.
And ride into town because we lived. Felt like
You
it
might
was
as
10
well
miles out
tell
of town.
people what a Huffy is.
That's a bicycle. Had front and back pegs, so I could take my friends if I needed.
Do tricks.
Yeah,
I could do a couple tricks.
but it felt like 10 miles riding into town. It was probably like 6 blocks from where we lived. But to ride into town, I got very lucky and was working for a taxidermist as my first job. I thought I was so high on the hog making $4 an hour.
Oh, yeah.
Scraping stinky
I had
flesh,
a
high stuff off of
I
things.
had a paper route with the baskets in the back, and I wore it over my shoulders, front and back, loaded with newspapers and newspapers in the front, because I had lots of clients, and I was proud of it. And I was riding, I don't know what brand it was.
Kids probably didn't realize
Was
that
that
was
here?
a
Was
thing.
that
Did it have
Moab
gears?
Gazette?
Moab.
Moab. What was it? Paper called?
I don't remember.
Whoa.
Paid the bills, though.
Paperboy, they don't even know.
I had rubber band. I
The
could.
Grand County
I was
Gazette.
good with a rubber band. I mean, I was good with a rubber band.
You shoot birds with rubber bands off your bike moving.
Whatever.
I think I started around $4 too, Josh. And I was
I don't even remember.
busting tires. I worked at a retread plant, and so used tires would come in, and I'd unload them from, a semi truck.
Those will get you in shape.
Yeah.
Probably if you're a dating age, it probably bulk you up a little bit. You're like, lifting
I mean,
stuff.
it was like child labor. I think I was 11.
Speaking of child labor, I developed a business making suckers and sold them in school, and I put my sisters to work. Hourly wage.
Is that because they had better handwriting than you on
no,
the label?
No, it was because
Pineapple
I didn't
flavor?
want to be over the hot stove. Go to. We need suckers for tomorrow. It was good for everybody.
I remember that era of our childhood. Everybody's making those homemade suckers.
Yeah.
Those little cookie-like, what were they? Put the stick
Well, they
in
were
and
cookie
pour it
cutter,
in.
stick,
Yeah.
pour,
Yeah.
boiling,
Yeah.
temperature. I mean, all that.
Taught you that in home ec.
Yeah.
I never learned anything about making suckers
How
in
about
my
those-
life.
You could burn
How
them
about
easy.
those friends that had their homemade pop machines? Did you guys have friends that had those? That had the thing that would
Root beer?
carbonate the water, and then you
I just
you'd
didn't
go to
know
their
if they-
house.
No.
Yeah.
Well, our parents didn't buy pop. Pop was a luxury. I mean,
Oh.
we had it, but not like.
McDonald's burger at $1
Yeah,
was a
so
luxury.
I mean, but I had a couple friends that had their homemade pop machine. It would carbonate the water, and you put the flavoring in there. It was like so awesome. It was like lemon lime pop. That's a Sprite. So you made it in their house. Anyway,
Oh.
right after you got done playing Atari.
I remember Atari. I liked Atari.
That's right.
All right, what
Some
a
good.
Okay,
memories.
that dates us pretty
Yeah.
good. So,
Well,
all right.
Don't regret anything. That's how you should live your hunting life. Or in regular life.
You can't buy time. You can buy your points, and it's hard to do it at times. But then when you look back, I wish I could buy the points for those years I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
And you just can't buy that back.
But I think for high school kids now, if they stopped playing or looking at social media for 2 hours a day or 1 hour a day, they'd have a little extra money. I mean, at $15 an hour,
Jeez.
you could buy.
They don't
your
need
own
it though,
gear and
John.
Stuff.
They just don't need it
You know?
nowadays.
I guess make sure your parents or whoever's applying you, if you're a high school aged kid, make sure you're at least maximizing in your own state what you're applying for. Because I will go back and look at my draw history, and I'm like, just like Devin, like we'd put in for antelope one year and then deer the next year, and then I'd wait 6 years and have a gap. It was like, what were we thinking? You just didn't know. So make sure you're maximizing your own state. Start in your own state and maximize all your opportunities there so you can hunt. And then if you can't, because I remember what it's like to be a kid and you're trying to start a family or going to college or something like that with Logan, even if pick one state that is close to you that you can drive to and that has a reasonable chance that at some point you're going to be able to use those points or something. Even if it's one, just start, like I said, maximize your own state and then maximize the next closest state to you that makes sense and start there. So don't, because it is overwhelming. When
Can't
you're
start
listening to one of
8
these
of
kids.
them at one, or
Yeah,
10 of them
yeah,
at
don't
one
do
year.
all that,
Yeah,
but
you
just
usually can't.
But I remember
Start
getting
somewhere.
Oregon regulations at my dorm in college. Like, Oregon?
Yeah.
Like,
Hey,
I just had a thirst for it.
I'm luckily I only had to deal with that for 3 years. Gave me a sheep tag the 3rd year, and I said,
I'm out.
Adios.
I've had a handful of buddies just in the last little bit talk to me about what they should start applying for their once-in-a-lifetime species. Kids I went to school with. I'm like,
That just do deer
you would've
elk
earned
there
one the
for
hard
20
way by
years,
now,
you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
late.
and
It's
you've
really,
already had a goat tag, right, in Utah?
Yeah,
because
I've
you
had goat.
started a plan back then.
Oh, that reminds me of another regret.
Let's have it real quick. Oh, I think
Let's
I know
just
what
say
it is.
every person in the Archibald clan, all my brothers, my dad, guess what we chose as our once-in-a-lifetime?
Swamp donkeys.
Swamp donkeys. All of
hey,
us.
hey, I like it.
He wants one someday.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you'd think we'd mix it up. Like, hey, why don't you do goat and I'll do
Yeah.
sheep? And
Yeah.
no, we
Every-
did moose.
And you have what in your house?
I have
just
4
saw
brothers.
a picture of it last night in your basement on
I have
your
3 brothers.
Instagram. This 65, 6, what is it?
65.
Alaska
Huge.
Yukon. It's bigger than any
Did you
moose
post
you're
something on
gonna-
Instagram?
Oh,
I
yeah.
actually
missed
did.
it. I missed
You
it.
got a new addition to the family. You want to tell everybody about what you brought
Just
home to the family?
velvet buck from last year. Archery.
I always
Put him
word-
on the wall with the others.
I always would word that to my wife. Hey, I got a new addition to the family. I'm bringing home.
I
tonight."
killed
She's like,
all-
what are you talking about? I just wait till after work. She thought it was gonna be a dog or something. No, just a finished head.
Dead animal.
It's with us forever.
You don't have to feed it or take care of it.
There's 4 bucks in that room that have came from maybe a quarter-mile circle.
4?
So I put them all together there. 4 of them.
Jeez,
The
it's
3
awesome.
velvet?
Yeah.
I haven't seen
There's
it. I haven't
4
been
of
on
them. I
the
didn't
other
show the other
Hard
ones.
antlered buck.
No, it's a velvet
Oh,
buck.
okay. Anyway, you got a giant moose. Yeah, your perspective changes. You started on moose at some point. You kind of lived in central to northern Utah, near moose and mountain goats.
Well, and when I'm
kind of, but
when
that was-
I'm 13 years old, when I think of a moose, that's what I envision. And
you
well,
visit-
yeah, in Utah, yeah, I'll kill
65
it.
inch.
Yeah, that's what I envision. And lucky
There-
to break 40.
Yeah, you're not going to see one like that in
No,
Utah.
it's just not going to happen. But
Yeah, but you're right.
it's those decisions when you're young and that
and I'm
it's a
lucky
big deal.
I grew up in southern
you don't know
Utah.
it till it's.
Yeah.
And
Make
Jason
good
too.
choices.
Jason and Moab, me and Monticello, we had desert sheep by us. That's what we had down there,
Yeah.
and it's what your dad took you to see. And luckily, I got started on that.
Yeah.
Another
So
one.
we
Of,
both killed one.
another one of mine might be applying for mountain goats, though. I killed a nice goat, but that's one I could write a check for right now, as
Yeah.
opposed to
You can buy a
desert
goat.
sheep.
It's hard to buy a sheep of some sort.
That's
Make
true.
good choices. And if you're not capable of making good choices, call us. And we'll help you make good choices. Do everything. And I think, like what Josh, you were saying, look at your priorities. Applying for points, if hunting means something to you, make that a priority and go without something else in your life as a kid or a newlywed.
That's right. We've had to do that. I remember my first couple sheep hunts I went on. I mean, I needed new trucks. I drove a Ford Ranger for '87 Ford Ranger.
I remember the
for
truck.
way too long. Way too
Well,
long.
I mean,
but
I remember you hunted out 114, 115.
Yeah, that was like 2005. Yeah, that wasn't that long ago. But bet on as you're thinking about these things, bet on yourself that you're going to work your guts out as you're 20, 25, 30, 35 and progress in life. You bet on yourself that you're going to achieve in whatever occupation and field you're going to do, and that money usually gets easier
your
to come by
spendable
in the near
income
future.
will increase and it will change.
It's hard to think that it will when you're in the paycheck to paycheck period, because we've all have to live through it. But add one at a time. Add the ones that make sense, that are close to you, that make sense, and add as fast as you can without jeopardizing, obviously, family and those things. Because we've just talked about it. I had sheep tags, deer tag in Arizona, sheep tag in Wyoming, things that I could have had if I would have been able to do it. You just can't always, but when you can, don't wait and make the plans. At least do points only. And don't make your kids, if they get bad grades, buy them a point on the side, but don't tell them. Tell them you set them out, but don't.
At least get them a point.
Good advice.
Have as least amount of regrets as humanly possible.
Yeah, get participation points like Logan got. Because kids get participation points these
We're
days.
just
Even
glad
if they
kids
did
go
fail,
to
you
school right now.
still get a point.
Back in our day, it was, are you going to school? Were you respectful? And did you get straight A's? And where did that A- come from? It was a tough era. I'm not going to lie. All right, guys. Are we good?
Yep.
Good.
All right.